Hi, sorry about that. My camera ran out. So now I'm going live on YouTube, and it's just an unlisted video anyway, so no one else could see it. Anyway, back to the story. I think I was at the part where Swiss w- took her son into the radio station, and the receptionist said that she'd watch him. Um, so Swiss goes into the uh, radio booth and she gets like a crash course from the station manager about what to do, what to press. Um, so now um, what happens is she goes to air and she is absolutely amazing, so funny, and people enjoy the like uh her her her, her style, her funny style, her relaxed style, and she's a huge hit. And it's a call-in show where people call in and comment on stuff. And before she entered the radio station, it was kind of like a smaller radio station. That's why they did what they did. So it was a smaller radio station, not really getting a lot of people. And then after she started there, the phones started lighting up and people started telling their friends, listen to this person on the radio. She does voices and she's funny and and she keeps and that after that first day the station manager says you're hired because he keeps getting like so many like we don't usually listen to the station because it's usually boring, but she brings life to it. So from that day forward she starts at the radio station, and then her popularity grows and popularity grows and grows. And one day she's um, sitting in a restaurant, and uh, somebody from they were looking. She's sitting in a restaurant eating, and somebody is at the next table talking to someone about how they need a narrator for an audiobook uh, who can do a French accent or different accents. And he says, we need someone right now. The project is scheduled to be done and we don't have a narrator. And then she's hearing this and she's like, and she says, excuse me, I didn't mean to eavesdrop, but I've heard that you need a narrator to who can do accents, and he says yes, and then she's like, I'm Swiss, and I do a small radio show, and I I, I I can do any accent you want, and she puts on her French accent. She puts on her German accent, British accent, all these accents. And the guy is like and the guy gives her his card and says, "Come by my office." And then and then so she gets the narration job. Uh not only to do this book, but other books, and then she gets introduced to her agent, and then it like her career just takes off. She's an in-demand narrator. Every one of her books are just so well sold. She loves doing narration for commercials. She loves doing audiobooks, and she becomes really popular, really high in demand. Her agent has to start turning away offers. She gets so many offers for her narration. She's so good and so expressive and just wonderful. Um, and in the mean, and then we go over to Darren in episode 3. We go over to Darren. So what happened to Darren is after high school, he um he gets scouted for a major football team, and then he plays for a couple years, but at um at a playoff game, not playoff game, but at one of their big games, he hurt his knee, and it's a career-ending injury. So now he can't play football. He's wondering what to do, and then he remembers that night talking with Swiss. He's never forgotten her. He remembers that night talking to her and what they talked about, and the fact that she could do voices, and the fact that and he says, well, maybe I can do that. So he looks up, he looks up how to become a narrator. So, and then he starts practicing different languages, and different n- n- narration, and he starts practicing and getting really good because he is so determined, and because he can't play football anymore, and because he always remembers her, and quite honestly still is in love with her after like years. He says, well, maybe this is a way to keep her in my heart, to become a narrator. So he gets with a voice coach, gets with an acting coach, be like um and becomes a narrator and becomes really good at it. Unlike her, this narration thing is a struggle for him because he didn't do it, but with hard work and precision, he gets really good at adopting accents and doing all this stuff. And he gets into voice performing as well for commercials and all of that. And he gets into audio narration as well. And then he becomes so good at doing voices just like she is. And he gets to climb higher as well in the narrator field. And okay, they and um so 15 years after high school, they are assigned to the same uh project for male and female narration. Uh, so they decide to take on the same project, but she doesn't know that it's him and he doesn't know that it's her. When they meet for the first meeting, oh my gosh, it's like it's you, and he is just thrilled to see her, but she is not thrilled to see him. So it's all this back and forth. Um, After the meeting is over, he's like, "We need to talk. I need to know why you didn't answer me, why you didn't answer my calls, why you just ghosted me. I need to know. I really loved you that night, and it was just the most magic night of my life, and then you were such a bitch to me, and I need to know why." She's like, "You know what? I don't have time for this." And she leaves the studio in a huff. Because I know realistically you can record anywhere, but for the purposes of this book, um, I think I want them to have to share the same studio. So they leave the studio after the first initial meeting together. And then he said she says, "You know what? Leave me alone." And then she walks away, gets in her car. And then she's like he's like he's like, "I need to talk to her. I wonder where she's going. She's probably going home. I'll follow her. I don't care if it's a stalker, but she I don't care if I look like a stalker, but she needs to talk to me. We need to settle this. I need to know why. I need to know why she didn't talk to me. I need to know what happened." So he follows her, and he follows her home. And then when they get to her house, it's a medium style house. And then when they get to her house, um, he waits until she goes inside, and then he gets out of his car and knocks on her door. But it's not her that answers the door. It's her son, his son, that she didn't tell him about. And then when he sees the boy's face, he says, "Oh my God." She says, he says, "Oh my God, I have," and he's just so shocked. And they're both so shocked because they look like each other so bad. And like the eyes are the same, the kid's kind of lighter but caramel skin, the hair is the same. He's looking at his a whiter spitting image of him, and he's like, "Can I help you?" The 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 kid is so sweet. He's like, "Can I help you?" And he's like, "Is your mom home?" And the kid says, "Mom, there's a strange guy at the door to see you." And then she comes downstairs, and she says, Ethan, I got it." And he's like, "Okay, mom." And then they both look at each other. He's like, he's like, "Why the hell didn't you tell me that I had a son?" And she's like, "Can you come in, please?" and he comes into her house, and the house is beautiful because she's a really popular narrator, so she can afford now to have a beautiful house. And he he's like, "Why the hell didn't you tell me you had a son?" He he she's like, "Why the hell didn't you tell me that we had a son?" He, he's like, "Can you keep your" she's like, "Can you keep your voice down? Ethan doesn't know about you. I told him that you didn't want anything to do with us." He's like, he's he's like, she's like, "Oh," he's like, "Oh, great, it just gets worse." He's like, "Why didn't you tell me that I had a son?" She's like, "Well, I tried. I went to your apartment, and Kayla was there. He, she said that you two were back together, and I didn't want the baby to feel unwanted. So I figured if you didn't want us, if you wanted Kayla and not me, fine." He's like, "You had no right to keep my son away from me." And they have words, and eventually, though, she knows she has to tell her son about his dad, right? So eventually, uh, they sit their son down and tell him about his dad. And at first, he's he she thought he would be mad, but he's so loving and so just forgiving. He's just happy to have his dad in his life now. As a 15, 16-year-old boy, he's just happy to have his dad back in his life. He's not mad at his mom. He's very mature. He's like, "Mom, you both were young. You made a mistake. At least I'm here, right?" And he's just so loving, and they were so afraid. So, and just to have him to have Darren getting used to parenting, uh, that's a different thing. Because his son is about to turn 16, so as a birthday gift, he wants to get him something special. So he gets him an Audi or another expensive car. And then when he gets him the expensive car, she is totally livid. She's like, "You didn't talk to me about uh getting such an expensive gift for our son and whatever." She's like, "I've taught him hard work. You don't get something like that without earning it. I'm trying to teach our son about hard working." And he's like, "Relax," and blah blah blah. Uh, and they have a fight about the car. And then ever since the car, there's been like this uh, love and hate, I want you thing going on. So they're fighting about everything. They don't agree about anything when it comes to parenting, but yet still they want each other. So, um, so it all comes to a head when they're in the recording they're at the recording studio one night, and they're recording a love scene. So he re- it's kind of those love scenes where they have to go back and forth. So after recording this love scene, she's recording the lady having an orgasm, and he's recording, they're recording a sex scene back and forth. So um, after that scene, they think they're alone. And in the midst of this, uh, there's a producer that is jealous of them. There's a producer that likes to stir up trouble and whatever. And then they're both the images have been clean up until that moment, like, no drama, no anything. But um but this person sees what's going on between them under the arguing and fighting over their son. He sees that there's an attraction between them, and he sees after recording the sex scene what's going on. So uh, after recording the scene, they actually um have sex in the booth. Um, like, just it happens and whatever. But what they don't know is the producer that likes to stir up trouble recorded them, and then he put it online just as a joke and to stir up drama. So so the next day this sex video is online, and it starts up a whole heap of trouble. They both start losing jobs. They start fighting more than they ever have. And it starts to not only affect him and her, but it really starts to affect their son. Their son, who never got bullied or anything, is now like getting hate mail and getting all these people calling him names at school and online, and just so crazy. And because they're so busy blaming each other and so busy at each other's throats because their frustration about losing jobs and whatever, they're like, because before this they were known as the clean. They would do romance stories, and the jobs just rolled in. And now all they're getting is requests for porn and whatever requests for like um highly sex books that she doesn't want or he doesn't want, and they st- they are fighting with each other, and what they don't see is how it's affecting their son. They don't see that he's being bullied all the time online and at school and all that stuff. And their son is a really quiet person. He's not a really um uh he's not a really aggressive person. He's more passive, and it comes to a head where their son has a nervous breakdown at school. There is a point at school where he starts shaking because he hasn't been sleeping for months, and they've been bullying him online and at school, and they've been like, it's just been crazy. So he gets into class, gets into a seat, and everything just comes to a head. he starts shaking and seizing, and everything is just crazy. Everything, everything comes to a head, and he can't take it anymore. So he collapses and starts seizing. So he gets rushed to the hospital because he has a nervous breakdown. And when they rush to the hospital, they they're about to have another argument where, like, blaming each other. It was because of you. It was because of you. You didn't do this. You didn't do that. And then his grandma, her mother, says, "Stop this this argument you have between the both of you. It needs to stop. This love hate thing that is going on between the two of you, this I want you thing, I hate you thing, it's taking a toll on your son. Can't you see? It's taking a toll on your son. It's not about you, and it's not about you. Right now, it's about him. It's about my grandson. And he's fighting for his control over there. You two adults better get your shit together, because this whole thing between the two of you is affecting your son, is affecting my grandson. You haven't seen for months that he's been bullied. Have you ever, have you looked at his social media? Have you looked at the comments as his mother and his father? Or are you just absorbed with how this is affecting your career? And she, like, totally lays it into them. And after that, they learn that as parents, they need to put whatever's going on with them aside, whether they're together or not, or whatever, and be there for their son. And at the end of the thing, they have a long talk. Uh, they have an adult talk finally with each other without the yelling and the screaming. And then they have a talk with their son and say, "I'm sorry. He's like, Mom, Dad, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean, but it was so hard. All the kids were bullying me." He's like, and his mom's like, "We're sorry. We're supposed to be the adults in this situation, and we weren't very adult. We didn't think about how our actions would affect you." So they they have a talk, and everything's okay. And at the end, because of what happened to him on social media, he put a video about what happened to him and his mental breakdown because of the uh, his parents' sex video. And then other teens started responding with their mental health challenges. Um, and he started a podcast called Teen Talk, where teens would go, and teens would just talk uh, to him, and he would have special guests, and they would talk about issues that teens are facing, and it was a huge podcast. So that's the story. Bye now. Take care.